I'm going to start the session off, and then I'm going to leave it up to everybody to take it on their own. Actually, what I'd like to do maybe is ask Frank and Rick to make a couple of opening statements just to get this thing started, and then we'll take questions and we'll get into the debate. Frank, it's all yours.
I think we should let Rick go first.
Okay, we'll let Rick go first.
Show.
I'm already playing into a strategy going first. Okay, so let me start like Howard say, I am not against whatever. I am like you, I'm an opportunist, okay? I really don't care what flavor opportunity comes in. I'll be all over it when I see it, and I'm sure you feel the same way. So let's get that straight from the gate, and I think the people that are here are basically open-minded people. It isn't like the forums and the comments and where people take a position and they're just locked in. You know, like I said, we're opportunists, and I admit it, and I'm proud of it, actually. With that said, the writings that I've been doing over the summer and actually into last winter about .whatever is to show the pitfalls that are coming. It's almost gonna help Frank and a lot of these guys by inoculating them, because there are going to be major pitfalls, and some of the comments that I see prove there's going to be major pitfalls that they don't see. And you know, sales is about overcoming objections, and you can't ignore them. And like I said this morning, and if maybe you had a little bit of time to think about and digest this, .com is the biggest franchise in the history of mankind. Think about that. Almost every single major company on this planet has a .com at the end of their name. They're doing trillions of dollars in business. They're advertising in the billions a day in every corner of the world. And you know, I don't see it as a threat. I see .whatever as every other city in the United States opening up and states opening up, and that never hurt Times Square. That only made Times Square bigger and better and more expensive. So anyone that's going to use .com as a whipping boy to sell .whatever, you look like an IDNer at that point. You know, it's wishful thinking. It's not based on fact. You have to realize that .com isn't going anywhere. The only thing that will happen with .com, the prices are going to go up. They're going to skyrocket. You know, it was too bad. Frank and I were talking yesterday casually for over an hour, and I said, damn, I wish there was a camera in front of us, because we had a really, really great debate. We just took on head to head, and you know, we each made our points, and that's what it is, because this is not a straight path to anywhere. This is going to be a crooked path, and Steve Forbes said as much back in 2007. So I love what's happening. I mean, imagine, for me, from 1995, when no one knew what a damn domain was, to come to 2013 and 2014, where domain names are going to become the center of the universe for everyone in the world, that's a great thing.
Yeah, well, well said. I hope you're right, Rick. You know, because as the owner of a lot of .com names, clearly, I don't want .com to go away. And I don't think it will. You know, I just think, you know, and a lot has been made of, you know, when I was in London at the TLD thing, and I did mention, I think .com will eventually end up like AM radio, I said. And that's not so bad, because you know, it's going to take all the other gTLDs and all the other stuff to equal
Can we stop
FM
there?
and satellite.
Okay, so let's take your AM FM example.
Yeah.
There was a reason FM became FM. They had stereo. They had something to offer.
Right.
The gTLDs have no new anything to offer.
Well, they do. Because
wait a second. Like, the last new thing to offer was .mobi. Right?
No,
that was going to...
We talked about this yesterday, and if you look at the history of all the other gTLDs, I mean, let's talk about it. You know, .info was the first one, right? But I watched that happen on grainy video in 2000, and they wanted .web as the open one. And I remember Vince Cerf saying... Would have been a better choice. Which would have been a great choice. But I remember Vince Cerf at ICANN saying, no, we want to reserve .web for IoT. And you could see the faces of the guys who got info going, you know, oh my God, we got info. You know, it was like horrible, right? And so that sucked. And then we got, what was next? We got Biz, which is really a professional domain that sounds completely unprofessional because it has a Z on the end. The only thing that would have made it more unprofessional is to have two Z's on the end of it, right?
And that dovetails with exactly what I wrote a few weeks ago about .biz.
Right.
It just seems like
So
a
that
fly-by-night extension.
And then we got Moby. Mobile would have been better, mobile. But we got Moby, which didn't really have a purpose, and they're all kind of out there on their own. It's kind of like when you see people dancing in the dance floor, and there's one person dancing all by themselves, you know, okay, yeah, we're all going to go dancing. But you get a room full of dance floor people dancing, and now you got a party, right?
Listen, I never heard about .moby until your friend next to you told us all about .moby.
So there you go. So, you know, and there's a story.
Just means I can successfully launch a new TLD.
And travel, jobs, which are great names, and I think they'll get a rebirth because of this round. But they sucked because you had to, for jobs, you had to send a form in to say, you know, and imagine .pro, which isn't great but isn't terrible. You had to fax in your credentials proving you're a lawyer. I mean, who the hell's going to do that, right? And then you've got, you know, XXX, which should have been a home run, but you've got, you know, a registry operator that polarizes the entire space, really, that they're trying to be serving, and then charges $60 a year, which is actually a lot of money. You know, $8 a year, I can get behind that. You know, $60 a year, not so much.
And that's also another thing we talked about was pricing. It's like, how do you price at $60 and $80 and $100 or more when .com is $8 or $9?
So I've always said namespaces are like countries. Those countries that offer low taxes, which is low renewal and registration costs. Hands-off governance, which means, you know, you don't have to go through a checkpoint to go get a gallon of milk. You know, you go where you want to go, when you want to go. I want to get on a plane this afternoon, I'm going to go get on a plane. It's a free country, right? Same thing in namespaces. You got to be able to, you know, be able to build what you want, where you want, when you want it. And then the last element, strong rule of law. If I get robbed or carjacked, I can call the cops and they'll go get them. If you've got a namespace where you know people are spamming and there's abuse and stuff, you got to be able to shut down that abuse, right? And so those are the countries and namespaces that thrive to the envy of others. .com was first. It had a great run. We've all built it together. VeriSign certainly hasn't built .com. They've just bought, you know, the franchise. And, you know, then I would say, you know, they couldn't screw it up.
Here's a prediction.
So.
Even with you thinking that .com is going to go like this, I would say that .com will do more registrations by itself than all the other GLTs added together.
Added together? Wow, I don't.
That's what I believe.
I don't think so. ICANN's own projections, like, you know, their own internal projections, are calling for 200 million. What was it? I'll make sure I get this right. It was 200 million new registrations by 2022 in new Gs. So. Right. .com will not get more because you got to think about.
But how many of those new registrations would be IDNs, Frank?
Not that many.
Not that many. Yeah.
Not that many.
I don't think so.
But the debate shouldn't be new gTLDs versus .com. Yeah. This is not about taking away .com's market share.
You're right, but wait a second. The reason that
it is because there's 5 billion people that aren't online yet that should be. Yeah. This is for the new generation and the new market and the people that are not exposed to the web yet. And my kids who don't care whether they type in a .com, a .info, or a .law, or a whatever, they're going to get a domain name that best meets their needs to what their message is about, to what they want to do for business. And this is just like when there was only one 800 number. There was only one area code. There was only one zip code. Long, long time ago. And now there's thousands. And there's 26 toll-free numbers. And it's going to figure itself out, and it's going to be very segmented and silos and in industry-specific domains. They're not all going to be successful, but some will be very successful. Some will flounder and go away, but it will repeat itself and it will figure itself out. And those with good marketing and vision and messaging will be successful. And those that are struggling today to even fill out the application and pay the fees, they may not make it. But it's coming, and, you know, everybody better get on board.
The difference, too, is you have, with the new TLDs, you have the opportunity, Rick, to use your analogy. You said FM had stereo. Well, what the new TLDs have is meaning, right? They're extensions that actually bring meaning and value and branding to a name.
And maybe confusion.
But no, meaning is not confusion. Meaning clears up confusion, right? Because you understand what it means.
It's going to be very chaotic and confusing, but that's how people learn and move on. It was very confusing when there was more than one area code and zip code, and when you had to start dialing your area code to get to a phone number. It's going to be confusing, chaotic, but that's how people will learn. And then knowing that big companies like Google and Amazon and Microsoft are all behind it and putting it into their search algorithms, and they're registering hundreds of names themselves, there's definitely going to be an infrastructure and a way to figure it out. And a lot of you were at the restaurant last night, and one of my criteria investing in a restaurant, which I would never do, is that the owners of the restaurant would also have to put their money in. And knowing that Google and Amazon and Microsoft and the foundation companies of the internet and even Nike and Sony and all these corporations are going behind this, and they're going to start advertising it, and you're going to start seeing it more frequently on the web and on TV. You're already seeing advertisements on the web by 1&1 showing all the different extensions. That's going to really be it's going to help the whole market. It's help all of us, whether you have a .com or not.
Yeah, that's just the beginning too.
Just the beginning, right?
Yeah, there's so much more. Like nobody spent any, marketing dollars really yet. I mean, there's so much lying in wait yet, and much more to come. And I can tell you, I mean, you've got brands talking about round 2. We didn't apply. We'd like to apply. Can you help us? You're going to have, once you open up, historically, you go to these ICANN meetings, and it's, policy wonks and technical purists going to these meetings. Now you've got the marketing department of corporate America in the root.
I make a distinction between .brands because I can see a need and a use for a .brand. Maybe internally, maybe externally.
Yes.
But I can see a need for it. Plus, I can see a company for 185 grand just reserving their thing just in case they ever need it. Doesn't mean they'll ever use it.
That's how a lot of the first ones will be.
Exactly.
They just like when Ford took Ford.com in '88, one of the first companies to get a domain name. They didn't know what they were going to do with it. They might use it for this email thing, and then when the browser came along, in '93, they were all like, okay, now
what'll change it is content, and it has to be a destination. So if those things happen, then advertising happens, and then awareness happens. But there's still a confusion factor, and the point is that confusion factor will have a percentage number attached to it, no matter what any of us say. Okay, this is all bullshit. What's for certain is there will be a confusion factor.
Yep.
So in time, that confusion factor will probably go down. It'll never be 0. Okay, it'll never be 100% either. And the only thing we have to go on right now is Mr. Johnson and O.co, who did a huge campaign during Super Bowl and lost 61% of their traffic to O.com that didn't even exist.
Yeah.
But that's their primary target for Europe. So it's actually a very successful acquisition for them. That is their landing for Europe. O.co is their main web portal for Europe.
Well, it sure didn't work in the United States, and
but they're still using it successfully.
I want to speak from someone who, from a totally different perspective. I bought e.co, which was the first really public announcement of the whole launch of the extension. The whole launch of the extension. That e.co, I bought it at the very beginning. I'd met Elliot in New York to get some drinks, and I walked away spending $81,000 on e.co. It was an expensive drink, and I had a very expensive drink. And honest to God, and before I got in the car on my way to New York, I had never heard of the extension before. I think it was never on my radar. Sure, I heard of it, and I can guarantee you I had no intention of buying that domain name. That being said, I bought it, I watched the evolution, I sold it, made a profit on it, and if I had to do it all over again, I would not buy that name. I think it was a very big risk to buy one name for that amount of money.
81 grand, you're right.
But let me say this, totally. I'm looking, one of the things that concerns me about the whole new development of all these new TLDs is a very small industry. Right. And Frank gets it. You've been here and you've done more than any of us. Rick's been here and done more than any of us. That being said, I see a lot of new people that have not been here. They weren't around for all the hard work, all the years, all the experiences that we have. And I would liken it to solar power. Everyone has energy, everyone has power in their homes. Yeah. And solar power is going to be something one day. Look at Solyndra and the amount of money that went into Solyndra, and look at how awfully it failed. And you look at the guys that were there, very young entrepreneurial guys that had very little experience in the energy business. And Solyndra, I mean, how much money was just flushed down the toilet?
You don't have to go to Solyndra. You can look at Goodyear Tire and Gillette Razors. Those guys, great brands. The founders of those companies both went broke and lost everything. The only thing that lives on is their name on the company. And that brings me no comfort when I think about it.
You look at the USFL,
go first, right?
NFL football is, I mean, who doesn't watch football? And how many people have tried to compete with the NFL, USFL, the World Football League, and it's a great, it's a great product, football, but to actually go out there and you would think, there's times of the year there's not football, so we could bring another league in, Canadian Football League, yet the NFL no one has been able to.
That's not quite true, Lonnie. It was AFL that got them really moving.
Well, before my time. But that being said, at some point, someday, yes, our children will demand a greater experience, and that will change. Yet you have a very small group of owners that control that industry, and they'll be, you know, they put a lot of money and a lot of dues in before they're going to let another league just pop up and just knock that out with a very watered down product.
It depends on the utility that you bring. Look at, like, everybody's so worried about, you know, football that they didn't see, you know, Ultimate Fighting coming, right, which has become $1 billion industry. So it's like, you know, and, you know, another good example is, you know, Sears was so worried about Montgomery Ward they didn't see Walmart coming, right? So there's always things that, it depends on the utility that comes.
Absolutely, but I think there's going to be a bloodletting. I think a lot of this is going, a lot of people are getting into this without really understanding it.
No, like J.C.
It's a big mistake. Where's their money? Why are they not asking the people, and they've been in this industry for many years, obviously Monty.
They are.
I understand that, but
the chance of success increases with a number of smart people that are bouncing into the new industry.
Everybody. I'd be around. I'd be asking me. I'd be asking anyone and trying to get their experiences. No one's ever come over to me and said to me, you know, how would you position yourself in this new TLD marketplace? What do you think? No one's ever asked that question.
So how would you position yourself in this new TLD marketplace?
I'll tell you, it would be. I'd think long and hard about it before I would. I definitely would not go out and buy 30 of them.
Well,
that's
obviously
for sure.
alcohol works.
Well.
You know, I think that anyone who's gotten into the space has thought long and hard of it, and we haven't gone after 30, we've gone after 1. And there's going to be successes and failures, just as there is in any industry, but the world is changing. .com, to be honest, the namespace is not a zero-sum game at all. Millions, if not billions, of people are entering the internet every day. .com is a zero-sum game, and that actually creates value for .com. Right?
I disagree with
There's a limited number of great brandable .com
My
names.
kids, I have young kids,
good.
and they still know .com. They don't know anything else. And anytime at this point when I sell a domain name, I ask the buyers what their feeling on the new TLDs are, and they look at me like a deer in the headlights. They have no idea what I'm talking about.
Want to run that clip?
Danny, yeah, run that clip, please.
When people say they will, and people speak for other people, this is what people this is real street people that Howard interviewed on Saturday.
I'm just going to run over to Danny for a second while we watch this.
Don't strangle Danny. Danny, take off, man. Go hide. Hurry.
Howard New here on beautiful Las Olas Boulevard in downtown Fort Lauderdale, asking people on the street and businesses what they know about the new gTLDs. Hi, what is your name?
Caroline.
Hi, Caroline. This is a beautiful boutique store. Do you have a .com web address?
No, we don't have. We don't use that. Our merchandise, it's like we change a lot, so for us it's very complicated.
Have you ever heard of the new, what they call gTLDs, the new extensions that are coming out?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, what is your first name?
John.
Hi, John. You have a nice real estate business here. Do you have a web address?
We have a web address as a company, and each individual realtor has their own web addresses as well.
And what is your web address, if I may ask?
The Better Homes and Garden. .com, yes.
.com.
Yes.
Have you heard of the new gTLD extensions that are coming out?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate your help. Hi, what is your first name?
It's Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie. You have a great art gallery here. My photographer here says he's seen some beautiful stuff here, and I can see it is now. Do you have a web address for this gallery?
We did. It's on the card that I just gave you, yes.
Okay, that is nativevisions.com.
Yes.
Have you heard about anything about the new extensions that are coming out?
No.
You haven't heard about the new, what they call gTLDs?
No.
Thank you very much. What's your first name?
Joseph.
Hello, Joseph. This is Joseph's, so this must be yours.
Look at that.
It's beautiful. You got some great stuff here. Do you have a web address?
No, we don't.
And why not?
Well, we're a very seasonal store, and we don't feel that web's going to do much for us.
Okay. Have you heard of the new extensions that are coming out, like .art and .gallery and that type of thing?
Not particularly, no.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. What is your first name?
Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan. You got a nice optical store here. Do you have a web presence?
Yes, we are on Facebook.
You're on Facebook. Do you have? But you don't have a website except on Facebook?
We do have a website, but right now it's under construction. They're remodeling it.
And what's your Facebook page?
Optical Spectrum Las Olas at Facebook.
Very good. Have you heard of the new extensions that are coming out, like .optical and that type of thing?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hi, what's your name?
Shannon.
Hi, Shannon. This is a very nice needlepoint store. Do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
And what is the name of the website?
It is Needlepoint Originals at
What is it? www.needlepointoriginals.com. That's it.
Okay, so it's a .com website.
Correct.
Have you heard of the new extensions that are coming out, like .needlepoint and that type of thing?
No, I have not.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I want.
You're welcome.
Howard, you should have gone across the street where the people were more happy.
Okay,
I did. I did. They weren't any happier, Monty.
Let me explain. Let me explain what you saw here. Let me explain what you saw here to put it in context. Okay, we're in the forest. We see this all day long. This is just randomly went down a street, went to store owners. This is the reality of where a lot of people are. Everyone says, "Well, the small business guy." Hey, there's the small business guy. He don't see it the way you see it. I mean, what's your web address? Something at whatever. What's your web address?
How many people knew what
Facebook.com.
twerking was before Miley Cyrus? No, nobody, right?
What?
A handful of people, right? All it's going to take is a couple of successes and a couple of big things to get attention.
Did you find the
and
other
people
clip,
will
Danny?
know.
The point that I'm saying is it's going to take another 20 years just for the .com to evolve. You know, it just.
Let me ask Jeff. Jeff? If you can tell us, and it may be a trade secret, I don't know. What is your marketing strategy for .club?
Well, I mean, we're treating .club as a mainstream brand, really as a mass market TLD, because it reaches anyone who's passionate about something. People want to come together about a common interest or passion. There are millions of existing clubs. There are millions of retailers who use club or a former club for their loyalty and affinity programs. There's millions of groups on Facebook and LinkedIn and other internet sites that are actually clubs and organizations that could benefit from the name. And there are people who are just passionate about it. It's an open domain. There are no restrictions. It's just a club. It's a word that adds meaning to whatever's to the left of the dot. And we're positioning it that way, and we're going to back that up with marketing dollars and support, because it's the only thing we're focused on.
And you know what? I like .club. You know why? Because I can think of many things to put before .club. But when I saw .camera last week from Paul from Donuts, how many different extensions? I mean, it's the variables.
Do you got the other clip, Danny? Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, why don't you chime in on another side of this that we're real bullish on also is the geo-targeted extension. So .miami,
the video is better.
.miami, .london.
Let's listen to this.
With the A and then the ring around it. See, that's what I said. Case that she thought it was about. Yeah. Oh. But I'd never heard it. I'd never heard it said. I'd always seen the mark, but never heard it said. And then it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
Yeah, I heard it around or about the lunchroom.
See, there it is. Violence at NBC, GE.com. I mean,
well, Allison should know.
What is the internet anyway?
That's not
internet is the massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big
But they
now.
think it's an internet.
What do you mean? That's
This is not lifetime.
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and
And
producers.
Danny tells me that this is from 1994.
No, she can't say anything in 10 seconds away.
Allison will be in the studio shortly. What does it mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of started from. Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
You need the off-camera guy to explain what the internet is.
Right.
Right.
And others can access it.
Right.
And it's getting bigger and bigger.
I think that's enough.
Okay, Danny. Thank you.
But you know, I mean,
But you mentioned geo, and I want to hear from Tim Johnson on .kiwi. Was definitely a geo.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I'd like to bring some international context, because .com is not everything. So in New Zealand, .com is not trusted. .nz is, but not .com. So there is a whole world outside this .com that we're talking about, and it's pretty big.
Well, and
Maybe
that's
not
it,
New
yeah,
Zealand,
that's
but
it.
it's pretty big.
And you know, I mean, roughly 1% of people on Earth own a domain name, or more, as the case may be in this room. But I mean, you know, I want to think that maybe 2%, that's 60 million people, 7 billion people, 70 million people, maybe individual accounts own a domain name, right? So, and the guy in Las Olas Boulevard there with the Facebook account. Why do people go to Facebook? Because names are hard. Go tell somebody to register a name, maybe they'll get the name. Go tell them to put up a website, and they'll cringe and be like, well, how the hell am I going to do that? I'm just going to go to Facebook. Or get a Pinterest account or a Twitter account, and it's just so much easier to publish. Well, that's What do you think is going to happen with these new Gs? You know, they're going to be, there's, you know, at Uniregistry, we're building an end-to-end solution to allow you to, you know, buy the name, you know, put it online, click here to activate your Gmail account with one click. Oh, okay, congratulations on your purchase. Click here to activate your Ymail account with, you know, Monte@Cahn.link, you know, and people are going to get that and like that. Click here to put up your website, you know, and then it's live instantly. That you can make that magic possible when you are vertically integrated. You own the registry, and you own the registrar, and you own the infrastructure that publishes. And others are going to do the same thing. Google, Amazon. These are big, big companies that bring products to market. And we were talking yesterday. And I said this is like a tsunami has happened, and you know, the sea is going out before the tsunami comes in. The seas recede, and everybody's like, "What are you talking about? A tsunami's coming. The water's going out, not in, you know." And I'm like, no, the water's about to come in. Run, you know, like, run now. And that's what I'm kind of driving at. You can maybe it's
and we both agree that the tsunami is coming. Okay, we're both on the same page with that. We just disagree on the form that it comes in.
Right. I don't think it necessarily.
Well, let Tim talk about Kiwi, because this is an important. The geo side of this is a whole nother side of it, which
Absolutely.
is, you know, imagine a lawyer in Miami getting law.miami or divorce.miami or divorcelaw.miami instead of a .com, but because they're local, it's a geo targeted address. It's a lot more relevant maybe than a .com in some cases, depending on what market you're serving. So talk about your Kiwi.
Some passion behind the name, right? So where you're from, there's passion. I mean, maybe .camera. I'm not terribly passionate. I own a camera. I'm not terribly passionate about the fact that I do. Do I want the world to know that I'm passionate about my camera? I don't know. Maybe there's a small subset of people that do, but you know, for us, for .kiwi, we have an entire country. It may not be that big, but we have an entire country who are 92% of them are super passionate about being Kiwi.
Actually, .nz is the New Zealand country code is a little concerned about .kiwi, are they not?
They are, and they should be. And it gets back to my point. .com is not the threat for us down in New Zealand. It's not.
How many NZs are registered?
It's about 600,000.
600,000.
Yeah. So with a population of 5,600,000 names, so it's quite a high ratio.
How many Kiwis are you guys projecting against the 600,000?
We have surveyed, so our competitor, .nz, surveyed their customers and said, would you prefer .nz or .kiwi? And around about 15% wanted .kiwi. So you do the numbers on that. When we surveyed with a slightly different question, we came back with 25%. So we think probably the middle ground is somewhere around 20% of that 600,000, which for us would be a success, but...
How much is the .nz?
Retail about $35.
$35, and how much are the Kiwis going to be?
It's going to be about the same.
Do they in New Zealand? Do they use Facebook?
Well, Tim, you explained to me yesterday that
how many people in New Zealand would you say are on Facebook? Is it a high percentage of people that use Facebook?
Yeah, it's 1 in 4 at least.
How much does it cost to get on Facebook?
Nothing.
To have your page? Nothing. So you talk about, you know, all things change. People have a Facebook page. You don't pay anything for that. So if you want to talk about your camera, you want to talk about your lifestyle, you don't need to have your own domain name. You can go to Facebook for free and do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think 35 is expensive. I genuinely think, even though your research says that, I think you're going to find even if you went with $8 names, you'd have trouble converting 10%.
But you're talking about a market which is conditioned at $35, not $8.
Yeah, but if you offered Kiwi at $8, it's a character longer. It's the fighting an incumbent. I think you'd have trouble getting, well, we'll see, right? But I think you'll have trouble getting 10% share.
It's not .nz, it's .com.nz, right?
I think you'll have trouble getting to 60,000 registrations. I mean,
let's talk next year.
At $8, at 35, I think you'll have but we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
Tim,
wish that. But
Tim, you explained to me yesterday that it's not limited to just people in New Zealand. That you think that you have a bigger market than that, correct?
Well,
yeah, and we've got 1 million expats around the world, and they're not just ordinary expats, they're evangelists for their country and for the brand of Kiwi. So we've got access to every single one of those pretty much through our expat network, and they're going to be very passionate about making sure that they're not just identified as Kiwi in the real world, but as Kiwi online as well.
Another good example is .irish. You know, there's a lot of people that relate, that feel like they're Irish, love the Irish,
or .Italian.
Right. So we feel but there's not going to be a .Italian, but there's a .Irish. So that's going to probably be a very successful TLD. Besides what happens at Notre Dame, but anybody that's Irish, there's 110 million Irish people all over the world right now. So that's another it's another, you know, example of where people have an affiliation to a specific TLD because of their background, their religion, where they come from, what business they're in, what they believe in. You know, another one is .gay, I'm sure everybody heard of. So, you know, it's a community. It's a feeling of what you belong to. And so that's where this is going to make a difference, I think, in the internet.
I totally disagree. I think that...
well, let's debate then, you and me.
Yeah.
Sit on the sideline.
Perfect.
I think the geos, I kind of dumped geos in with IDNs. Yes, you're right. The passion play rings true, right? But the problem with geos is the internet's global. You know, when I'm in New York City, .nyc is going to be a great name, right? But all of a sudden you polarize everybody from New Jersey, Delaware, and all around you. You're only in NYC. And if you're selling online, you want to sell globally, right? Similar, and with .gay, you know, you could be the most out there gay person on earth. It doesn't mean that you want to fly your flag with your URL and your email address and email me. I really think that that'll surprise people to the downside. I'll be astonished. I think the people who use .gay will be for pornography sites and that type of thing. That's where it'll ultimately find a home and use. And that'll polarize further the gay community because they'll be like, oh my God, there's just gay content everywhere. So I can't actually put up, you know, flowers.gay and put up my gay flower site. I mean, it doesn't, because it won't make sense because you have too much porn there, you know? So I think a lot of these, there are problems certainly to be worked out, but I kind of am, you know, comforted by the fact that there just, you know, aren't enough. Years ago, I came to one of these shows back when there were cigar bars and shots everywhere, and we're all riding high on PPC revenues, and everybody's living the dream. And there were, you know, probably 3 times the number of people in this room, maybe 4. And it was a much bigger industry because there was just so much more money sloshing around. This is before the financial crisis, before everything, right? And I remember turning to my, you know, the girl I worked with at Yahoo who was attending and saying, what's the problem with this? You know, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but what you know, where's the downside here? Everybody's, you know, riding high, we're all having a good time. And she's like, Frank, the problem here is lack of inventory. And I've never forgotten it. It's so true. There's not enough names that are meaningful. We own them all. Where are the newcomers going to come in? Where's the 14-year-old kid from Skokie, Illinois going to go get those names? Where's the next you to backfill your work? And there's not enough inventory. So I'm comforted by all this new stuff in that it kind of it expands the pie. You can't have a real estate market when there's only one city in the country. You need more cities.
I think there's an unlimited inventory. I think there's an infinite inventory, okay? I just think, first of all, there hasn't been enough commerce being done with people reselling their domains because people are still getting their heads around buying something for more than $8. So I think you can take almost any keyword subject, and I'm sure the people in this room within 30 minutes can find an excellent domain name that they can hand register, and they can find a superb name that they can buy for $500 or $1,000. Now, the point is, the people outside, when you saw the video, they don't even know that Facebook.
But therein lies the problem, that we haven't even done a proper job of explaining .com.
The point is that this industry is still in its infancy, unlike real estate, which is thousands of years old. It's not mature yet. It's not even, we're not even in the first inning yet. Yep. That's the issue.
That's agreed. That's why I said .com has another 20 years.
But it's not going to be stuck on .com. Unfortunately or fortunately, we're not going to be stuck on .com because there's 1,000 new TLDs coming. So.
Yesterday,
well, here, speak about 1,000 new TLDs. I want Danny to run this clip from ICANN.
One second. Yesterday, Frank and I were discussing where on the chart are we in historical terms as far as value of .coms. Yeah. And my reply to him was, if we were talking baseball and baseball stars of the last 100 years, I would say generously, I would say somewhere between Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle. The salaries in baseball during those years, maybe even pre-Babe Ruth, pre-100,000. You can shake your head.
I disagree.
I'm telling you, listen, Babe Ruth made 100 grand, Mickey Mantle didn't even make $1 million, and whatever the guys now make 25 million. I'm just saying, look at all the new, look, and during that period, when baseball was the #1 pastime, it was replaced by football, which is now the #1 pastime. It's been replaced by car racing, NASCAR, which is even bigger. And guess what? They're still making $25 million a year in baseball, okay? It doesn't affect the others. It just makes for bigger and better for everyone.
Yeah.
And getting back to the key point, my key point, give me a keyword in any industry. You want plumbing? Fine. I will find you a domain in plumbing for under $2,500 in 20 minutes that you can set yourself for the rest of your life on, okay? Now, wait a second. So you say, well, they're going to spend $2,500. Excuse me, everyone in that video clip spent $2,500 before he even put the key in the door, okay? It cost him tens of thousands of dollars before he put the key in the door. So we've still failed, .com has still failed to make the parallel between what it costs Sears to build a store in Oshkosh that'll take 3 years and $5 million and may or may not make a profit.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough because much of what you said there makes sense, and I agree with it. But I kind of come disconnected is when you mentioned finding a great name. I think you'd have trouble finding a great plumbing name.
Find a plumbing name. Come on, guys. Find me a plumbing name. I'm telling you, there's a challenge out there. Actually, there's a plumbing name, no reserve at this auction today. Topplumber.com. Topplumber.com. No reserve. Okay? I just proved my point. Exactly. No reserve, Top Plumber.
Not to take the wind out of anybody's sails, but
can you make it? Wait a second.
I would rather
Is that a decent domain name? Can a plumber make a living, or a company make a living with topplumber.com?
You could make a living with any plumbing name.
Exactly.
But the point is, I guess this is where I'm saying the disconnect is that I'd much rather have plumbing.link for $8.
I don't want top.plumber. I'd rather be part of the club of .com, which is the biggest franchise the world has ever known. I think if I'm opening up a pizza store, maybe I can't compete against Domino's. But guess what? I can put pizza on my sign, and then I can compete against Domino's.
But the issue is not whether .com.
Pizza.
No. I'll take that one too.
Listen, what's getting missed.
I will take Rick's.pizza, but it's another entrance to RicksPizza.com.
It is now, for the next 8-10 years, it is another entrance to RicksPizza.com. We agree. But what I'm saying is the more pizza joints, when Pizza Hut goes to .Pizza Hut, and there's a .Domino's, and they, cheese.domino's, my.domino's, and as that starts to be the
Frank,
way
the
people
oversaturation.
Blank.pizza will be.
I think the biggest challenge, I see one of the biggest things that I'm looking at it, and it's overwhelming from a domainer standpoint. There is so many new TLDs coming out. What happens when you have a building recession, when a lot of building developments are built, and there's so much inventory, and the prices, no one's buying it.
There will be a bust. There will be a bust.
Danny?
So much.
But that's all right. That's all right. But the issue is not whether .com has value or not. .com has and will have tremendous value. But what's interesting is there's new choices and new opportunities. And actually, everyone in this room has a tremendous opportunity with the new gTLDs because you guys do know what it is, unlike the people in Howard's video. And so you have the opportunity to look for the new TLDs that will have value, that will have meaning, that will grow. And from a branding perspective, for creative marketers, the opportunity now to create campaigns around a domain name, to create landing pages that are campaign specific, that people have balked on in the past because they couldn't get a name that made sense for the campaign or it cost too much, will have opportunities, and that usage will continue to help things grow. Yeah. So it's about new opportunity. It's not about, detracting anything from .com.
Can I comment on that, what you said just for a second? You are saying that it's an opportunity for us. And I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But it's only an opportunity for us because nobody else, like we have seen, knows about it. And I know it as well from Europe. A few brands will buy it. Maybe a few other people will buy it. But we will take all the good domain names within the first 30 seconds. They maybe will buy it from us, but they don't want. The market today is totally illiquid, and it was in the past as well, very absolutely illiquid. When we reviewed the Zito numbers, for example, they sold last year, I think, 9,000 domains. Come on, 9,000 domains. Everybody of us, when he wants, he registered them within 10 minutes, and they have value. First, we have to find then the buyers. So we will take your domains within the first 30 seconds. Then we wait for some buyers. 50% of them we will drop after the first renewal period, which is maybe a year or maybe 2 years, like we did with .mobi. The biggest success of .mobi, what was it? It was maybe your auction, Flores.mobi. And then I wasted a lot of money together with Xavier in hosting.mobi.
You outbid me on Flowers.mobi, you know that?
Yeah, maybe they still live from the money. Yeah, maybe they still live from the money, but that's the only one reason.
You were at 190,000 and I was a schmuck to build 200,000. You could have saved me.
I agree, the bigger man wins, okay. But, hey, come on. What else came after this? What else? We had the same shit with other TLDs. And we wasted there a lot of money, and we will do it again. You will do your share.
I think this is
how many registrations
I think
do
this
you
is a
need?
little bit different, though, Frederick. This is going to be a little bit different. This is not about 22. This is not about 22 existing TLDs.
Yeah.
This is about opening up new markets. It's it's an expansion of the internet that people are not. This is not for the people in this room. This is not for the people in this room.
Your colleague next to you, on the right side of you, is different.
I think what Frank said at dinner last night was dead on. We're the luckiest mofos.
Invite me next time.
We're the
to this
luckiest
dinner. I will teach
mofos
you.
in the industry because we do know what's going on and we do have experience and we've been doing it for a long time. And whether you take some of the new real estate or not, that's not what the issue is. It's what's going to happen to the world of everybody that's not online yet. It's not for the aftermarket right now. It's for people that aren't online yet. Yeah. It's for new companies. It's for my kids that aren't even out of school yet, that haven't created their business yet. It's a completely new market. It's not for the people in this room. That's not why we're launching this.
I think Frank is the best. If I were betting on anybody, I'd bet on Frank. Listen, Frank's been in this industry. Frank understands this industry.
Frank. There's people that are in our space that have really bowed up and spending millions and millions of dollars, like Frank and Direct Nick and Web.com and Microsoft and Google and Amazon.
There's also a lot of people that were
Hey guys, one at a time, please.
There's also a lot of people that were never in this space that are seeing a money grab, an opportunity to make a lot of money. Frank, you understand it. You understand the bumps in the road. You'll probably be there to pick up their extensions when they go bankrupt. But I think that many of these people would be well served. They could go in and buy a lot of portfolios in this room and do a hell of a lot better than the money they're spending.
That may be true. As Jeff said, 80%, it's going to be like any other business. 80% may fail, and there'll be 20% that exists.
I think you're generous.
Monty, can I have another 20 seconds?
There's no guarantees in life. There's no guarantees in anything.